Yeah, you want to go?
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So you have 3 kids?
4.
4 kids, and you all currently live in Flint.
We did. We are military. We were restationed in October.
Okay.
And so we are still Flint residents. We still own our home. Our home of record stays here. When we voted last week, we voted here. I spend 2 weeks in Virginia with my family. And then I spend 2 weeks on the ground in Flint working every month. I work on the water 100% of the time. When I'm in Virginia, I go back and forth to DC for whatever the people need. I'm the closest to it, so why not utilize it? Instead of being out of the fight, I figured out a way to use it to our advantage. I've sat down with the acting administrator's assistant to drinking water in January of 2019. I testified at the NIDWAC, the National Drinking Water Advisory Committee, against their recommendations to the lead and copper rule. I've made it my personal mission to make sure the lead and copper rule gets changed so this never happens again. My son decided to go live with his father and stay here in Michigan when we got restationed. So, but we are still very much citizens here.
And how have conversations been amongst your family about what's been going on here in Flint?
You mean my immediate family or my extended family?
Your immediate family, in-house.
We're frustrated that it's still not where it needs to be. Not just the water, but the services. We just recently found out that a very good friend of my daughter's, her son now has a level of a 5. He's a year and a half. The reason being is because she is homebound, and when she calls for 211 to get water delivery, it's taken 3 to 4 days. When they finally give it to her, they give her 2 cases of water. They have not come yet to install her water filter on her tap because her tap is one of the ones that needs to be specialized. So she is forced, being homebound at times, to have her child drink it from the tap still. And now he has lead poisoning. There's times where we're sarcastic about it because sometimes you just have to be. There's times that we're angry. There's times that we're very emotional. It's a roller coaster. Now that my almost 5-year-olds are starting to understand what this means, it's a struggle.
So have you had conversations with your children about it?
Absolutely. We're very open and honest with our kids.
Yeah.
The hardest part for us was we did an interview at CNN with Dr. Sanjay, and while it was playing, like when they actually aired it on Anderson Cooper, my son Garrett, who's Gavin's twin, he got really upset. And he says, "Mommy," he says, "am I gonna die?" And I said, "No. Why would you ask that?" And he says, "Well, is it just Michigan that's poisoned, or is it everybody?" And I said, "Well, it's in the city of Flint because of the bad, yucky water. My kids are very familiar with bad, yucky water. My kids won't drink anything anymore. Mommy, is this clean water or yucky water? Mommy, can I drink this?" They immediately question. And even living in Virginia, we still buy bottled water. We will never, ever drink water from a tap again after what's happened to us. So I explained that, and he says, "Well, I have poison then, right? I've been poisoned." And I said, "Well, no. When they did your blood work, your owie in your arm, you just had exposure." And then he starts crying more. And he says, "But Gavin was poisoned. Is Gavin gonna die?" And I say, "No. You guys have good doctors. And we got you to quit drinking the yucky water, and we figured out that it was yucky water and what was wrong with it. So nobody's gonna die from this in our family." And then he starts crying even harder. And he says, "That's why I'm so much bigger than my brother. Because my brother was poisoned." What do you say to a 4-year-old? Because it's the truth. So we told him, yeah, that Gavin has health issues and that we're working on them, and that, we got good doctors for Gavin, and that, we're going to figure it out. But that they knew this. They've been to rallies and protests with us, holding up their signs, doing their little chants, so they're aware of it. If you ask my sons why mommy's doing this, they will tell you because mommy has to save the children to make sure they're not being hurt by the yucky water. So I mean, they have a grasp on it, but it was the first time that they, from all the talking and working and activist work, that they finally, it connected at a 4-year-old level to them that this is what's happening to them.
Have you found that there's anything that you wanted to tell them that they don't know or don't understand?
No, we always try to do it at their level.
Okay.
And I mean, for the most part, I mean, I really, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that they didn't understand.
Okay. I know you've been super active in getting just kind of like this community activist and organizing work. Can you speak a little bit about how that process has been in terms of collaborating in Flint?
You mean with the agencies that are here or the people?
Both.
Okay, well, with the people, we've already kind of formed this family from fighting for this for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really not, like, it's just everybody trying to support everybody for the most part. You have some of your, you have a couple bad rotten eggs, but everybody just trying to support each other. Different groups working on different things, and then supporting each other with that, so that not any one person is. We're not redoing work over and over again. We started that early on in 2015 because we were overlapping each other on what we were doing, and it was like, well, hey, if you already did this, I wouldn't have been on this. So we started kind of splitting it up to where people were good at things, and then bringing it back together again and working together. I can't say that from everything that we've done, the best part about this work, this horrible tragedy, is how we've come together as a community, and we've stuck together in this. And I know that there are some people that turn this into a racial issue. This is not a racial issue. This is a social economic issue. Lead does not discriminate. Lead doesn't see a color. So we don't support that. There's a huge group of us. I won't say all of us because I won't speak for everybody. I'll speak to people that I've worked with. None of us support that because they didn't just do it to one group or one family. They did it to all of us. They did not spare one of us when they made the decisions they made. So, working with the groups that are on the ground here, like EPA, and I have not worked with FEMA at all. EPA, I had reached out to the Flint Task Force and asked a couple of questions, and Bob Kaplan, EPA, was the head of that at the time. He then took Susan Hedman's position later. Me and him got on the phone right around Thanksgiving, and I was hammering him something fierce. So he asked if we can start talking on a weekly basis because I was really fed up with the fact that there's a lack of transparency to the people. Nothing ever gets back to us. Decisions are made for us, but nobody ever includes us. And so we started doing a weekly update. It goes onto the Flint Water Study website every week, and he tells me what the EPA is working on in real time, and I tell him, I bring concerns and questions from the people, and he sees how he can assist. I can say, since he's taken his position as the new administrator of Region 5, I like Bob. I'm going to be honest with you, because I'm the kind of person, I go by my gut, and I base people off of what they say they're going to do and the actions that follow after. And so far, every one of his actions has followed what he has told me. I was taken into their command center in January, and it was like a clown car. It was like 45 people in this trailer. And they said, hey, this is Leanne Walters, listen to her, because if you piss her off, everyone's gonna know about it. And I said, well, there's a reason for that. People here, we deserve the best. And that's all, we're not settling for anything other than that. After everything that's happened to us, that's what we deserve. And I'm only gonna call you out if you're not gonna do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. So, you guys seen the town hall meeting that we just had, or the open house. The citizens have been asking for that since January 2015. And I pushed really, really hard after we had that meeting January 2016. And I've been pushing, and I helped coordinate on that to make it happen, because that's what the citizens really wanted, and I think it went really well. Having real people from the EPA talking to real citizens, and citizens being able to interact and ask questions and see what's going on. So that was very important to me for that to happen because it's been so long. But they also know, and I want this clear, I do not work for the EPA. I work with the EPA. I want to make sure that everything's staying above board so that this doesn't happen again. And if not, I have no problem calling them out and making it public that they're not doing what is best.
In your role as in doing this activist, like community organizing work, can you speak to what some of the struggles are? I know that there's some folks who maybe don't speak English, don't like have cable, don't like are deaf. How has that process been?
The struggles on that aspect have been hard with the outreach. And we actually have an illegal immigrant community that does not speak English that in middle of January, we found out that they knew nothing about any of this. And so when I got that phone call from my friend Naira, and we were talking about it, and I said, well, let me make a call. And I called EPA, and they had somebody there within 24 hours because they wanted them to be aware. They wanted them to make sure they had everything that they needed. And they put together a whole group of people and a whole bunch of materials and started canvassing door to door, trying to get the information to them. But it's still a struggle to this day. I mean, we talked about the fact that 201's not delivering properly. We're not getting the healthcare services that we're being told are offered. All these wraparound services, no. They're excluding the teenagers, the adults, and the elderly for the healthcare. The things that people have seen in the media isn't actually what's happening on the ground. There are still so many parts of this that are failing. When me and my husband were doing the pickup and drop-offs for these kids, we just installed a water filter for an elderly lady yesterday before the open house because they keep telling her they're going to do it and nobody has. That is unacceptable. After everything that's happened, this woman should not have gone this long without a filter installed. So we're still struggling in that aspect with the outreach to people today, and it should not be like that when the state of emergency was called in January. All this stuff should have already been handled. The people who are on, and I always get these confused, so please, if I say it wrong, is it Medicaid or Medicare? I'm not sure which one. I think it's Medicaid. People who are disabled, the spend downs that they have, there are families in this city because of their health issues now from the lead poisoning. It is bankrupting these families because of their spend downs. And nobody seems to be hearing us. There's one family in particular. The husband is lead poisoned, verified. His blood pressure is crazy. It is still, he's taking 8 pills a day right now. He's got 5 specialists. They cannot get it under control. He had an eye stroke. He lost a third of the vision in his eye. And it bled for, I think it was 4 weeks. They couldn't get it to stop because they could not get his blood pressure okay. It finally did. Their 16-year-old was lead poisoned. She has the liver of a 75-year-old. Their 21-year-old daughter is one of the first cases at verified Legionnaires not associated with the hospitals, which means that she caught it from showering at home. This family lives on a fixed income, $2,700 a month. The spend down for mom and dad's insurance is $1,067 each per month. And you've got specialists that are costing $50 a pop. And you're traveling back and forth to Ann Arbor. That's a huge chunk. When we reached out to get help from the state, mom and dad's spend down went to $1,323 each. They make $10 too much for food stamps. So do the math. $2,700 a month is what you have to live off of. And you guys, your out-of-pocket expenses for medical have to exceed $2,600 in order to get help for conditions that were not your fault. This was done to you.
For my final question, I know that we have a new mayor who seems to be doing a lot more work and a lot more kind of engaged with the community than the previous mayor. But do you get the sentiment that folks want to stay in Flint or that folks want to leave?
No, folks, there's a big, huge part of people that want to leave here because of what's happened. They ain't got no place to go. They can't afford it. And then there are the people who still believe that the city can be saved because Flint is, you know, what we are. We're fighters. And at one time, Flint was a great place. And the people are still fantastic and great. What's happened to us isn't.
Do you think that Flint can be saved?
I don't know at this point, honestly. I just like, you know, we can help try and build the trust back up through these agencies because there are good people in these agencies. But that trust, I don't know if that trust will ever be restored as a whole to these agencies. Individuals, yes, but as a whole, no.
Okay,